What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Go Long Podcast. Tyler Dunn here with Jim Monis at Fatty Beer Company, Orchard Park, New York.
In person.
In person, that's right. Everybody make sure you get to a Fatty near you if you're in Western New York, downtown, OP, Hamburg, everywhere.
They were partying, birthday parties, anniversary parties, however you want to say it. They were doing it.
Absolutely. You're working your Pellegrino today.
Always.
I've got a little underground beer lab, New England IPA. They've got every type of beer you could want. So thank you to Fatty for hosting us, fueling us.
Always.
Jim, I'm not going to lie. This feels good to drink this beer.
You needed it. You had something. You had a lot going on. It just dropped a lot on me when I saw you. So
it was very helter skelter. One could say.
Which is life with kids.
It is, but you know.
But this isn't the kids, though.
I don't even know where to begin with this nonsense. But everything that led to this gathering of breaking of bread, of sharing a drink with you, Jim. Probably, Friday, Saturday, you have kids. They go to dance recitals and dance rehearsals.
Sure.
And she goes to pre-K, bring home sicknesses. You get sick. They usually bounce back pretty quickly. So, went through the chills, throwing the comforters on and the throat, the earache, the headache. It lingers for 2, 3, 4 days. Just brutal. Just absolutely brutal. So it started with that. And then that kind of transitioned into, some stomach issues that, we don't have to get too detailed on. I don't think
other
want to hear
issues.
that.
Other issues.
Some intestinal disruption, we'll say. And it kind of transitioned into back pain. Woke up one morning like I was just split in half. We've talked about it. High school football injury, herniated disc.
It's real.
Seeing chiropractors ever since.
That's crippling.
Awful. It was to the point where I'm like, Gina, we got to go. Like, I got to go in somewhere. But the miracles of the massage gun, it made today sustainable. And then I should say, before that, God bless them, my wife's parents have a cat. I didn't know that you could all of a sudden become allergic to a cat. Did you know that?
No.
I
would think you would have known by now.
We had like an outdoor cat growing up. Rudy was a badass. He just
never.
I grew up in the woods. He'd be gone for a month in the middle of winter, come back, missing the thing. We really wish we could have put a GoPro on his head.
To see his whole life, like
fighting bears and stuff. But
he made it.
Yeah, I don't like cats, but he was cool. I liked Rudy. But they have a cat, indoor cat, Albus, after Albus Dumbledore. Got nothing against Albus, but, had a pretty nasty reaction. Probably half my fault for dousing my eye in Visine and itching it nonstop, but I probably still look pretty rough, Jim, but for a while it was like I went 12 rounds with Mike Tyson.
You sound like you're on the recovery end.
I shouldn't say 12 rounds with Mike Tyson. That's giving myself too much credit. I'd say 1.2 seconds with Mike Tyson. One punch to the eye is what it looks like.
That's always that question. Would you take it for how much?
That's been like, we all have recurring
Everybody
dreams.
talks about it, right?
That's like a recurring dream I have.
Getting hit by him?
Like the decision
or to
step into the ring against a heavyweight boxer for X amount of dollars. And then I always accept in the dream, and I always wake up right when it's about to fight.
It's
start.
I feel like it's worth it as far as you're not going to win. You're going to take a beating. You're doing it for the money.
Is it worth it, though?
Yeah,
right?
That's personal. Right.
Sidetrack then.
Yeah,
say it is Mike Tyson and it's prime.
Fair.
How much money would it take for you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, it's got to be life-changing. I mean,
2023 money, not 1991.
When I say life-changing, like after I take that beating, Walter doesn't have to worry about anything. That's my son, and I will be living somewhere quietly. Like, I won't have to work.
Well, you're going to be pretty effed up for life.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. I'm done after this.
Right. We're talking.
So for you, would you agree? Like,
what's the number though? Like, what's the number?
So I guess I'd have to think to live comfortably.
I would do it too.
Yeah, for me in my situation, yeah, I want a good payday. I'd like to look at what they get paid, what the top pay-per-view guys get paid. I would go for that.
10 million?
Yeah, no, I think they get more than that.
No, I'm saying that would you do it for 10 million?
No,
I don't think I would either.
no, I'm looking for more
because your life might be effectively over.
Yeah, there's some bad things. It's not going to be fun.
No,
it's not going to be something you want to think about. I don't even know how we're talking about this right now. It was such a nice day outside. I was drinking Pellegrino. Everything was peaceful. Well, you didn't even get to your.
All right, so I feel.
All right, so we're fighting
like
Tyson for life-changing money.
I mean, the only other analogy I can think of is the scene in Heavyweights with Tony Perkis at the end, when he's just caged and he looks at the kid. He goes, "I'm a beaten man. I feel like a beaten man."
And that's how you felt.
So that's been kind of the state of affairs here personally, and then
you lost.
Yeah,
you're coming out of the loss right now.
Complete loss.
Fair.
And then driving here to meet you.
Yeah. What?
So, Orchard Park, it's the village. There's crosswalks, right? Everybody's driving very slow, as they should, typically, because there's people crossing.
Were they driving the speed limit or slow?
What is the speed limit? 30?
Pretty slow
here. It's 30.
Slow.
Yeah.
All right.
So, going down, just driving in front of Fatty. There's a spot open. And, maybe I put the blinker on a little late, but it wasn't like obscene late. Honestly, it was. We're all moving along here slow. There's a spot. I'm going to take this spot. Feeling good about this spot. Feeling like George Costanza, when he found
big parking episode.
Yeah. So I seized the moment, seized the opportunity. Well, I've got this woman on my ass. Big glasses, a handicap, deep
all right.
sign down the mirror.
Go ahead.
Is she behind me?
No, I want to know what the big glasses though.
Big glasses. I mean, like 1970s TV show.
Are we thinking she wasn't really? Things appeared closer to her than me.
I'm saying, I'm trying to just create an image.
I'm picturing
I wouldn't expect this reaction.
Yes.
Like clownish hair.
Yes.
Clownish glasses.
Yeah.
Handicapped to some degree because she had the sign right there in the windshield.
So you pull in.
So I pull in and she lays on the horn.
Yeah, it's unnecessary.
Lays on the horn, Jim. For shame.
Nah.
So I just, mouthed a loud F you, gave her the finger.
Happens.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. They can't.
Well, she's catching you on.
I mean,
she's catching you coming out of.
Well, she fixed the shopping cart, the deplaning, deep budging, everything off of the elevator before you get off. So they need to be put in their place, regardless of demographic.
Honking of the horn. I need to know why. I think it really should be used avoid.
She thought that I slid into this spot too late.
But what does it do? What does her honking do?
I guess it makes her feel bad. And she's shaming me, right? Yeah.
I feel like the horn should be used to prevent. If you could help, if somebody doesn't see you and you see them, and there you lay the horn.
I totally agree.
Now it becomes like crying wolf. Like we hear horns, I don't think anything of it. I just think somebody's angry at somebody. It's not what it's for.
Jim, I think you got to the crux
because the anger doesn't do
American society in 2023.
Don't use the horn.
Back when we were a functional society, the horn was used for functionality. That's why I use it. Right?
Somebody might not see you.
Somebody might not see you. It serves a purpose.
Honk.
Honk.
Simple.
Now it's all shaming.
Now the honk
and virtue signaling. That's what it is. I'm right. You're wrong. Here's my honk. Hear me roar. Is the use of the honk now. So that's why I didn't like it. That's why I had to snipe back. I hope she saw me. Not sure if she did. So we got a ways to go, Jim. So we'll get to Jared Goff eventually. I promise.
It's one of the best lead-ins you could that you couldn't see coming. This to Goff.
Sure, everybody's enthralled with the story. So we get out, see you, we dap up, say our hellos. You're looking at Tony Perkis / Tyson's latest victim, and I said, Jim, I forgot the microphone.
It happened.
Which happened.
It happened.
I hate to say more than a few times.
You have a lot going on.
Remember the light, the ring, the stand, the computer. Good. Everything's good. We're here at Fatty. We're ready to go. Live in Boston, New York, right over Chestnut Hill, obviously, Chestnut Ridge Road. So because Jim Monis is one of the nicest human beings I know. I'm not just saying that.
No, I appreciate it.
I tell everybody that. You are genuinely one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. Seriously. And I could go on and on. So, Jim, when I screw up like this, he does not even hesitate. He says, go get the mic. It's fine. I'll just chill here.
That's what we do. It's a good day.
It's about 15 minutes away. Go over Chestnut Hill. I'm just like, it's insane. So go over the hill. All of a sudden, a turkey.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Flies. Or that doesn't fly, trots right in front of me. I don't know how I didn't hit this turkey. No clue how I didn't hit this turkey.
Because they can't really.
I mean, I did what I tell Gina not to do because she loves animals and she's terrified of ever hitting an animal. And I say, Gina, every time you drive, you scare me to death because you're going to slam those brakes and you're not going to look behind you and somebody's going to hit you. And that's exactly what I did. I did not practice when I preached. But for the turkey's life, I had to slam on the brakes.
And did you get hit?
I didn't hit it.
But did you get hit?
I didn't. Thank God nobody was behind me.
I thought you were going to say you got hit.
Thank God nobody was behind me. Yeah, that's all I can say. So, yeah, Mama, Dada, I'm not sure which one it was.
It just sounds like
almost hit one, and then the other one followed behind.
It's almost like you are a quarterback under pressure right now. It's coming from all angles. You're getting horns, turkeys. You got it all today.
Pick up the microphone. I promise we'll have a happy ending. Come back over Chestnut Ridge, and guess what song came on? We've talked about it. I'm going to play it for our listeners.
Do it, because I'm not going to know.
And this song, instantly, and I'm telling you, everybody out there, if you're having a bad day, a bad week, a bad year, play this song on repeat, and it will instantly put you in a better mood. It's a song that in our overly sensitive society would not fly today, but if you are able to laugh, then you can enjoy this. I think it's like from the 40s or the 50s. All right, let me see if I can. We're gonna play it over the pod. This is a goal.
This is one of our biggest produced.
Here we go.
Segments. You sent me this.
Yes.
Cheers.
There it is. We gotta go to the. Here's the funny part up here. There's something hilarious. Here we go.
You put me on to this.
It's just a beautiful song. It's a love story. Really.
Good stuff. Good stuff being said.
Don't let your friends say you have no taste. Go ahead and marry anyway. Your face is ugly. My eyes don't match. Take it from me. She's a better catch. If you want to be.
I love that line. Her face looks ugly. Her eyes don't match. She's a better catch. All right.
But to your point, I don't know if it gets made. I don't know if that gets made.
Yes, because everybody is looking to sue everybody, and nobody can just
harmless
fun,
a
harmless song, a hilarious song. My wife loves it, so I can listen to it.
I agree. It's harmless.
Without repercussions.
You'd have to be looking to argue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was good.
I want to say I think that the song played at our wedding actually. Oh. Sonny definitely dances to it. That's part of the rotation.
Is that part of his like famous?
Oh yeah, it's if you want to be happy, Jimmy Soul. It's all the Blues Brothers.
That's the dance party rotation.
He's moving and grooving. So okay, I'm sorry. We're 15 minutes into this thing, but
we had to catch up. We had to catch up. That put me in a good mood.
Yeah. So everybody out there, make sure you add that to the playlist.
I like it.
How's life for you, Jim Monis?
Good. We're rolling. XFL's rolling.
Yes.
So
can you fill us in at all on where the XFL is at? There's a lot out there. Maybe you can just.
I think what's out there is good enough for everybody to read about. I don't really need to. That's not really my job to talk about the XFL. We have plenty of people that do that. All that I can tell you is the hard work that everybody has put into the XFL. It's moving forward to year 2. So it's nonstop, trying to make things better, do things differently. But the players are there. I don't have the exact number in front of me right now, but the amount of tryouts we've had and guys that are signed right now to training camp. Now, obviously, it's hard to make the team, but the opportunity to get the chance is why you play in the XFL, and they're getting that opportunity. So it's serving its purpose. And the timing of our league, was why we have it when we have it. Now all these players can get their opportunity.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think that is a sign of great success.
It is.
It's anything. I mean, every time I look on Twitter, this XFL player signed with this team, and look, you make the 90. Anything
can happen once you get in, and they know that. So
it was high quality football too. I enjoyed it. It was a great championship game.
It can only get better.
Yeah,
it will only get better.
All right. So as people can see by now, we're going to talk about a frequently discussed quarterback.
It's unreal how much.
Jared Goff. So I wrote a column at Go Long for our subscribers on Jared. I think that so much in the NFC does boil down to him. Because, hey, the NFC is so insanely wide open. You have almost every single team in the conference, I think, really believes it can make the playoffs and threaten
no question
to win, to do some damage in the playoffs, which it's hard to even fault them for thinking that, because you look around your own division, it's like, look, you beat this team, you beat that team. And we kind of joked about the optimism this time of year, which that's become one of my
It's become mine too. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I love it too. It's mine too. We have a good one going.
I mean,
one a day.
You did see that. It was a CJ Stroud. He wasn't on the practice field, but he's impressing in the meeting, something like that.
It's really once a day.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's going to be. It's fascinating what people come up with. And I always end it with, the summer season. Like, his numbers are outstanding this summer. I can't believe how good he looks. I mean, like we talked about before, it's pointless.
Tomorrow it's going to be like Bryce Young drove over Chestnut Hill Road. He did not hit a turkey.
His is predictable too, though.
Yeah.
Right? All the rookies I can't believe how far along they've learned.
But I think, there's legitimate hope for a lot of these teams. I'll have some reporting on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which everybody assumes they'll be like the worst team in football. I was down there. They genuinely think that they can win, and they have some good players. So I think the point of this all is, if you are Jared Goff, if you are the Detroit Lions, you can realistically view yourself as a Super Bowl contender. And initially, you say those words out loud, and it feels weird, taboo. What? It's not. It's really not.
Nope.
The offense, loaded. Even with Jamison Williams and his suspension. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, maybe the best offensive line in football. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, go on and on.
Loaded.
Defense was really bad most of last season. Really bad.
Part of the issue. Go ahead.
They completely reset the secondary. They've got 3-4 bona fide pass rushers. They really do.
No, they do. You're right.
And they drafted a linebacker. They've Alex Anzalone. So I think that the more you really wrap your mind around it, the more you can see a team that's won one playoff game since 1957 making the Super Bowl. And I think the Detroit Lions, they're the offseason darlings. That's why we're talking about them. They're going to be the team that everybody gets really excited about. And people are getting excited about them for different reasons. It's not because of a second or third year quarterback who's going to take the next step, or a Tyreek Hill kind of signing that shocked everybody in free agency. They didn't really do that in free agency. It's been a steady rebuild with Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell. And what does hold people back from saying that they can overtake Philadelphia, I think, is the quarterback. And the more I really think about it, the more I believe in Jared Goff. And so that's what we want to talk about today. I'm going to let you go because everybody's heard enough from me at this point. So you start this, Jim.
It's fascinating how many times we've talked about Goff. Like, for a guy that really isn't relevant as far as his teams right now since he's left the Rams. But it made me go back and just think about his whole process for that draft, the 2016 draft. So obviously we were at his pro day, and this was the Carson Wentz year. And this is what made me think, I said this to you earlier. I was all in on Carson Wentz. I thought he was going to be everything that he looked like he did in Philly before the injury. I was sitting there thinking, yep, that was the guy. That was the guy I wanted us to go all in on. It was not Jared Goff. I didn't really see it with Goff as far as that go after him as your guy. Obviously, you saw the ability to throwing the football for him was natural. His pro day was rainy out there. But he was fine. You know what I mean? He could throw the football. Nothing blows you away physically about him, right? Plenty tough. The big issue I had with him in college was one of the worst defenses every year was the Pac-12, always. They play no defense, so your stats are just fake. They played 3 ranked teams that year, lost all 3 games. He had 5 picks against Utah. You know, and that's how you have to judge them. Those were the best teams that he was going against. And they weren't very good, but he was not having success against them. So that was concerning. Then McVay does what he does. Just didn't see him elevating him, right? I jumped a little bit. He did play in a Super Bowl. And this is where I want us to make sure we are on, like, where we're going to say, where we both see Jared Goff. I view him as a system quarterback that you can win with, but things are going to have to be right. Detroit has put things right around him offensively. But being right with a quarterback that is not necessarily quote-unquote franchise, the defense has to be right too. Because he's going to have his games. He still does. His blow-up games. And if that defense isn't right, I just don't see how that formula works with Goff. Would I have taken him number 1? No. And did I like Carson Wentz better? Yes. I was wrong. Jared Goff is obviously a better quarterback than Carson Wentz.
That's when we first met, really.
That was kind of those, like...
It was that Mobile. I remember running into
we were talking about Wentz.
And said, hey, what do you think about Wentz? And you kind of lit up. And I wasn't sure if you were just kind of humoring me or if you really did like it.
I can't really hold back. I like talking about players. Yeah. But you should see me. I mean, that year, his rookie year,
he was.
I was walking around thinking we messed up. We should have gone all in, mortgage a future to get Carson Wentz, and I was like, yep, we would have been great.
Would you have been able to do that with Rex and everything?
We talked.
It was
a quick talk. No. We would have had to give up at that time. We were waiting. No, it wasn't really. Yeah. It wasn't our time to do it.
And Tyrod was good. I mean,
definitely
his first year as a starter.
Yeah, I think we all always. And this goes back to, once again, this is the hard part when you're evaluating guys. Like Tyrod Taylor, love, but never viewed him as the guy that can get you to a Super Bowl. I feel that way with Jared Goff.
That's the debate then.
Right.
So you don't think that he can get you to the Super Bowl right now?
Unless everything else is around him. The defense has to get better. So that I need to wait and see. They recognized it and addressed it. So yes, that offense is Super Bowl caliber. Yes.
They were something like 4th in points, 5th in yards.
The offense is 100% Super Bowl caliber. And that's the quarterback. And I'm saying that with Goff, how they run that offense is, I mean, their numbers, like you just said, it's top 5 everything.
I know we have a lot of Bills fans who listen, obviously, here in Western New York. And I think that the value of Ben Johnson was so evident. Granted, Detroit lost that game against the Bills. But just the rhythm on offense and the misdirection and the deception and the unpredictability, everything that Ben Johnson does, it just had this flow to it. One play kind of set up the next play. There'd be this counter here and then a backside pull there and then a tight end throwback. It was dizzying where the Bills, it was kind of laboring, boom or bust. And there was a lot of big plays. We've talked about offensively. Isaiah McKenzie talked about all of that. But as long as Ben Johnson's there, he'll be a head coach, we would think, soon. That's always, kind of the downside of having a really good offensive coordinator. But it was Dan Campbell who took over the offense in year 1. And I think that they can keep this thing humming even post Ben Johnson. And I think that they are going to give Jared Goff a big-time contract extension. Look, he's only 28, turns 29. He came into the NFL really young, 21. So I think a lot of people struggle with. I do too. I mean, last year at this time, I wrote a column on Kyler Murray, calling him a quarterback capable of getting a team to a Super Bowl because he's got this element of special, this spontaneity, improvisation, and we're all enamored by that, one point or the other, because it's fun. If a quarterback does something that nobody else on the planet can do, it's like, we need that. I think Patrick Mahomes almost like broke everybody's brain, though. There's only one Patrick Mahomes, right? Like, the Jets drafted Zach Wilson because they thought he might be a Patrick Mahomes light, right? Like the off-schedule throw, rolling left, flip the torso, chuck it 50 yards across the field, that type of stuff. Like, if the entire NFL is going to be chasing that, good luck. You'll be like the Jets, giving up on that quarterback after a season and a half, signing Aaron Rodgers. There it is. There's the name drop. But I think that what we forget about Mahomes is he is disciplined. Like, he played on one good leg through the postseason. He won a Super Bowl because he was smart and efficient,
gritty,
and made good decisions, and gritty and tough. And I think that it's a set of traits that Jared Goff does have to an extent.
Plenty tough.
He's not going to be as fun to watch as a Mahomes, a Murray, a Josh Allen, a Jalen Hurts. All of these guys. But
Greg Maddux, pitcher for the Braves. I always bring him up when I talk about golf. He's Greg Maddux. He can place it, pocket passer, system quarterback.
4th and 1, game on the line, the Green Bay Packers season on the line, last regular season game of the year. What does Ben Johnson do? Spreads you out with all these receivers, choice routes across the board. All right, Jared Goff, win us the game. They could kick the field goal, giving the ball back to Green Bay. They said, no, we're going to win the game right now. DJ Shark game. I think he's smarter than most think, tougher than most think. It was fun kind of looking back at a story I wrote at Bleacher Report on Jared Goff after his first year. He goes 0-7. He's sacked, whatever it was, 30 times.
Yeah, right.
Jeff Fisher, total disaster. Is this guy a bust?
Right.
When Sean McVay came in, so that was a feature at Bleacher Report first season preview package, and the whole angle of the article, like, is this guy tough enough? Because he's going to LA, and can he handle the pressure?
Being questioned,
but he kind of made a point to bring it up because you could tell, like,
that he was feeling like he was feeling something.
I think we have these weird skewed definitions of toughness. Like, you almost had to have gone through some adversity to be tough. Like Dak Prescott, we all know what he went through, losing his mom, mid-round pick.
You're right, different
chip
versions
on the shoulder.
Right.
But Jared Goff, I mean, both of his parents are around, all of his grandparents are around. He went to private school. Like, we hung out at his school for a camp, and it's like, oh my God, you went here? Like, this is unbelievable.
Like,
the 17th richest county in the nation.
Country club.
Yeah, and goes to Cal, the blonde hair, he's mistaken for Ryan Gosling in LA. And then when he first moved there, it was like everybody thought he was Ryan Gosling. So, but he made a point to say this, quote, "I'm more afraid that people will be like, he's a little bitch, than I am of truly getting hit. So that's what drives me to be like, I'm fine. That mentality is what keeps me in the game." And he brought up all these times that he just got blasted that rookie year. Like, Richard Sherman lit him up. And I mean, it goes back to high school. There was a play in high school, I remember him saying, where he was holding an extra point and a kid just speared him in the sternum. Like, just took a shot at him. And his high school coach confirmed it. We talked about it. And Jared just stands up, like, just kind of lurches over the guy, like, ready to fight. And the guy just walked away. Like, he wanted to. I think he's always had more of a. I think there's stuff to Jared Goff that's been underestimated his entire career. High school to college. College, they were terrible the first year too. They'd get blasted 50-something to nothing, and the upperclassmen are going drinking and partying, and it pissed him off. He was able to turn that around. He was able to turn the Rams around that first year. They were all, for whatever reason, we just, for good reason to a large extent, we anointed Sean McVay as the second coming of Jesus, a football Jesus, and viewed Jared Goff as nothing but a puppet to Sean McVay. He is just doing what he's told and deserves none of the credit. At some point, Jared Goff needs to get some credit. He does.
Well, can I
he took him to the Super Bowl.
Okay, well,
nobody gave him a chance in hell at excelling in Detroit.
This is what we're saying. Okay, I like this.
Turn it around.
But to say that there's this, he feels like there's, not that he feels it, but there's something off with him or he's not respected enough. He was the first pick of the draft.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he feels disrespected. I'm saying the perception of Jared Goff is wrong.
But let me spin it even more then. First pick of the draft at an average football place and didn't really play that well in big games with no specific special talent. And he was the first pick of the draft, which tells you teams loved his accuracy, his interviews, his toughness, intelligence. Loved. I'm not talking liked. Loved. First pick of the draft. Bills, we had scouts that loved him. Okay? They were, there was reason to like him. I did not. I didn't see the special anything. I saw a guy that, yes, good quarterback. I love his toughness. I love his accuracy. I actually think his accuracy has not been great recently. Needs to get better, especially once again. He has blow-up games. You can't have those, especially once and win. Yeah. When we talk about Detroit, just at least get to the playoffs before we. I mean, you and I are both saying it. They have a Super Bowl offense. They do. Stats show it. Now, I love that. They have a Super Bowl offense. He's the quarterback. I give respect to Jared Goff. But I still see him as the system quarterback. If that defense doesn't get better in Detroit, I don't think they get there. Because I don't think he's good enough to make up for a average defense.
I'll say this. They want to run the ball.
That's great, too.
And they reset their backfield in a positive way. As much as we all love Jamal Williams, they believe they're upgrading to David Montgomery. Jahmyr Gibbs, they hope, is like their own Debo Samuel positionless kind of threat. The line, they started there, obviously. Penei Sewell across the board. I'm just saying, I don't think that they don't need a quarterback who's going to, freelance and make these crazy plays because the play's not going to break down.
That's fine.
He'll have people are going to fear the run, so they're going to come up to stop the run, and then when it's time to pass, he will have protection to throw the ball, and it's going to be one-on-ones across the board.
Okay, Detroit,
for the most part.
Yeah, Detroit just proved it. They just proved they put the whole NFL on notice that you can't stop us on offense. Their numbers show exactly what you're saying. The NFL right now is studying Detroit's offense. That's the offseason stuff.
Yeah.
No question, because they had teams on their heels. But this is what I learned in New Orleans. When you can score like this, when you have a Super Bowl offense, you come out of the gate, boom, boom, you're up 2 scores. Now your defense just feasts.
Yeah.
Because it's right now, this is when you get turnovers. This is when the game is out of hand. This is when you get those games when you can – that's how you have to take advantage. But what do you do? Detroit's never going to be out of the game. That's the good thing with this offense. They're going to always be able to come back, but you don't want to live that way. You don't want to live in the shootout world. Score early. Have a defense that can just keep it back. They don't want shootouts. I think that's where Goff where it can get scary for him.
If it gets into a shootout, you're saying. That's a really good point.
That's what I'm looking to see because that's what he's proven. He's proven in big games. He does not play well. He doesn't all the time. And I'm into this team. You have me. So,
I think that it's fair to put that 13-3 Super Bowl loss to New England.
I'm not even putting it on him.
I'm putting it on McVay. Belichick just took him to the woodshed.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You hold a team to 13 points, you should win. That's the only thing I would say.
Todd Gurley was arthritic and shot.
Whether it was McVay.
C.J. Anderson was the running back, right?
3 points. But I'm with you on this. That trade for Stafford, we talk about this all the time. That trade wasn't as mismatched as it looked. It looked mismatched because the Rams won the Super Bowl. But we've talked about it. They're a tart. I bring it up. I think that's the one I bring up every time. You bring up Aaron Rodgers. If Tart picks that ball off,
I know.
McVay's a failure. The trade was a failure. Goff, Detroit won the trade. That's how much that interception meant.
Completely.
Okay. I always have to throw that in there
Yeah.
because I don't want to just say McVay was right and Stafford was great. I don't want to say that because I don't think that trade was as mismatched as it was.
I mean, Detroit executed that trade not knowing exactly what the hell was going to happen.
Knew Goff.
He did, but I'm just saying, like, they really did that trade for the picks.
No doubt, but the toughness part.
The toughness he knew, right. That helps.
Keeps you. It makes you respectable in the locker room. And that was a big thing with McDermott talking about Tyrod Taylor that year. When we were trying to decide, should we go with Tyrod, make this push, make a run? We know that Kyle Williams, shady. Or, let's blow it up. No. As a coach, you want Tyrod brings respectable. We can win. Boom, playoffs. So, yeah.
Brad Holmes was in the Rams organization for the entirety of Goff's career and a lot more than that. So that had to account for something. But I think that the Lions, like, this is where their genius comes into play, knowing, okay, we're not in a rush to figure out quarterback.
I love it.
Day one, second one.
We're
not going to be obsessed with this.
They got their guy that can run their system.
Yep, we're bringing in a quarterback who's competent. We'll take the 2 first. We'll take the 3rd, and we'll just see if we grow to love Goff.
Okay, so there it is. That's what I would need to see too. What did they turn those picks into? That's how you at the end of the day will study that.
Completely.
That's easy to look up.
And then they turn those picks into more picks and become deeper and deeper and deeper on both sides of the ball.
That's the true study of that trade.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl was the jackpot, the slot machine hit.
Exactly. The Rams are going to be bad again this year. Look at their team. They are not going to be good. Beyond the star power, right? Beyond Stafford, Cup, Donald, look at what they have. Like, defensively are names that you will not know.
Is Donald playing?
Yes.
I'm anxious to see if he gets a veteran, let's see how we're doing type thing. Anyway, but yeah, I'm with you. I don't see them, but they're in the NFC, blah, blah, blah.
Here's the thing with Jared Goff, though. All right, so even with your reservations, which I understand, but I think the reason I think it's going to be that big of an issue is look at the NFC. I mean,
well, we're going back to that.
Who are the contenders? If you were to point to 3 teams in this conference as the cream of the crop,
I think you have 2 right off the bat are cream crop. I think Philly and San Fran are ridiculous.
Which Brock Purdy is their quarterback.
Fair enough. They proved it, though.
Or Sam Darnold. Or Trey Lance.
I almost don't know if it matters. They probably would be great with Goff. That would be the question. Shanahan, would he take Goff or what he has right now?
He'd take Jared Goff.
I think I would, too.
I think Kyle Shanahan
I would.
I think it proved, but I think that Kyle Shanahan has proven the point of any quarterback prejudices that we have. Like, you need to have this special quarterback to win it all. Like, we anoint Kyle Shanahan as this innovator, this forward thinker, yet he has vacillated every year on what he wants at the position. He wants the placeholder, Jimmy Garoppolo, do as you're told, I'm right in your ear. He wants the freak show, Trey Lance, 1 year of college football at North Dakota State. Then he goes back to Brock Purdy. He's going to do as he's told. But, here's Sam Darnold. Maybe he's the starter. Like, the fact that he's all over the place tells me, look, we might think that you need to be a certain type of quarterback to win a Super Bowl. I don't think that's true necessarily.
Oh, agree with you. 100%.
And this conversation is all on the other side of Patrick Mahomes, obviously.
Right. But this is the best part about everything we talk about. So we always talk about Ozzie Newsome gets credit as the greatest drafter or whatever. It took Hayden Hurst before Lamar. Shanahan, once again, innovative, greatest offensive coach. Took Trey Lance. Brock Purdy is now the franchise quarterback.
Solomon Thomas over
Mahomes.
Deshaun Watson.
So Sean Payton, who I work with, he's never drafted a quarterback. Can't get one. Point is, quarterbacks break you down. Like, you get desperate. You get Look at the picks after Goff and Wentz. This is perfect. Because we just sit here, I have it pulled up, but we sit there and talk about how quarterbacks are, they're everything. So the reach is on, we say Goff, Wentz go 1-2. Not only either runs a first round, to be honest with you, after their careers. Here's the next couple. Joey Bosa, not bad. Zeke Elliott, not bad. Jalen Ramsey, not bad. Ronnie Stanley, not bad. DeForest Buckner, not bad. Conklin, Floyd, blah, blah. But it goes to show you the value and how you will I'm going to make – I would – Salt and Wentz. I was going to do it if I had the power.
That's right.
I would have heavily looked into doing everything to get it. That's scary. But I'm telling you, for that.
I think that's why I love what the Detroit Lions are doing, because they don't feel that urge.
I like it too.
They don't feel that temptation.
They don't play like that. They don't play.
They're building a team.
They don't play like their jobs are on the like Campbell. If he doesn't win this year, he's out. They don't play desperate.
I think that the New York Giants have done the same thing. Joe Shane and Brian Dable. It's not. They don't feel. They're not like an addict. In the fetal position in the corner of a room because they need a quarterback. No. Let's build a team. Let's be judicious, smart, and logical, practical. Look at the dollars. Look at the cents. Do what's right.
I like it.
And it's not. It's not going to get people calling the ticket office necessarily. Right when the Lions did this trade, were there Lions fans going like celebrating in the streets? Oh, we got Jared Goff, the quarterback that Sean McVay didn't want. No, but they played the long game. They knew this is better over the long term because we get these picks, and then they turn those picks into more picks.
No, it was.
Then all of a sudden you look at their roster. We spend so much time on this podcast, like discussing how you build a team, how you find a quarterback. I just keep coming back to that. Like Chris Sims said in that Daniel Jones story last year, build an effing team. Like, stop chasing Mahomes. Just go draft well, sign good players.
Okay. Yeah, that's a tough one for me. But you would say they have to win this division, Detroit. Like, I was looking at this division, right? You looked at it plenty. We know the division. We know the quarterback in Green Bay. Minnesota, we know the quarterback. I mean, it's not like those guys. Cousins is a more accomplished quarterback than Goff, based on year to year, just putting up numbers. Goff has the Super Bowl, but I don't really look at Goff as the reason the Rams got that Super Bowl. He played well for them, well enough. Point being is, they need to win that division. Like, we're talking about Super Bowl. We're talking about, like, now I'm going to spin it one more time. If they don't win the division, if they say they don't make the playoffs, I mean, it's most likely probably Goff, right? Would you move on from Goff? That's where I'm going with this. Would you move on for Goff if you don't make the playoffs this year?
If he's a primary reason why you don't make the playoffs, yes.
Okay.
They kind of hedged their bet a little bit with Hendon Hooker. Third-round pick, Tennessee, off the torn ACL. Maybe he turns into something. He's old. We get all that. You listen to, who is it? Is it Mike Tannenbaum? Mike Tannenbaum liked him better than any quarterback in the draft.
I'm sure he's going to be the best ever, but they're not third round.
I'm saying for I'm just saying that was kind of their hedge.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it gives us a little something.
Their hedge, yeah.
But yeah, I think like they haven't given Goff an extension yet. They've discussed an extension. They publicly said they want to extend it.
It's on him. It's time.
I think, but I think if they don't make the playoffs, it's going to be because of defensive inadequacies and the failure to improve.
And that's fair. And now that would go back then on Brad Holmes, because they spent their whole offseason on the defense. So you're right. So it's
Pittsburgh.
I think that's where we just talked. Speaking about this, it's almost like, did Holmes do a good enough job on defense? And then whoever the D coordinator is, I don't know. Which Dan Campbell likes him. They go back to New Orleans.
He was on the chopping block, it seemed.
It seemed.
And then they did turn it around. Their defense finished pretty strong.
Yeah.
Outside of that Carolina game.
Yeah. Just remember, look at the quarterbacks they played. They played some. There were some favorable
they
matchups.
Play Aaron Rodgers. It's true. Twice.
Like you said, he was terrible. And he was.
Kirby Joseph. So here's how the division, I think, will shake out. I think it's going to be Detroit,
I agree.
Green Bay,
Fair.
Minnesota 3, Chicago 4.
I don't disagree.
And I want to definitely get Matt Collar back on the podcast, Purple Insider, to talk about those Vikings, because
let's do that.
what a fascinating state of affairs.
I'm confused by them.
Yeah.
That's good, because I can't see what direction they're going right now.
I think it's on purpose. You know, some of these teams broadcast exactly what they're doing. You mentioned the Saints, right? Forever. We're going for it. Like, we're getting veterans. We're restructuring contracts. We're winning.
Always going for it.
Like, we're not taking a gap year. We're going for it. And then there are some teams that we're tanking. We're losing. We don't care who knows it. But the Vikings, it seems intentional, where you have you've got a quarterback in Kirk Cousins that you restructured, but you didn't extend quite yet. Justin Jefferson is going to get paid soon. TJ Hawkinson is going to get paid soon. Defensively,
Once again, that's where
Daniel Hunter's the big decision, but
their defense was bad again.
Their defense was really bad, and they lost.
We're talking about a division that has Green Bay's defense. You know what's funny? The Bears' defense actually may. I don't even know. Is there a defense that scares Detroit?
I think the Bears spent a ton of money, so they'll be better.
Is there a defense that's going to scare Detroit in that division?
No. I mean, I think
I agree with you.
I think Detroit and Green Bay both get into the playoffs, and Minnesota, they call it the competitive rebuild, right? Like, they've coined that term, which it's I don't even think it's jargon. I don't think it's fluff. I think they mean it. Like, I really think they're trying to compete and win, and they did win 13 games last year, even though they gave up more points than they scored, which is crazy.
It's hard to believe.
But you have Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, who's a – do you know Kwesi?
No.
So
I want to, because he's very analytical. Yeah.
Right? He was in hedge funds and stuff.
I'm into this.
So analytical, so numbers
the
driven.
Dalvin Cook thing is when it opened my eyes to, I want to pay attention to what they're doing in Minnesota. Yeah.
And then you flip it, you have Kevin O'Connell, a player, a guy that his players love playing for, because he's been through the ups and downs. He's been cut. He's moved all over the country. It's an interesting dynamic. So I want to learn more about that team.
Interesting division.
It is. Anything Goff before we sign off on Goff?
Like it. System quarterback, good defense. You can make a run with him. Respect, tough. I was wrong on him as far as he versus Wentz. NFC quarterback wise, a lot of guys I'd take over.
I really think that Jared Goff, though, where I feel for him is, like, at every turn, it's somebody else, perception-wise,
and that's
getting all of the credit.
That's fair.
But he was central to turnarounds.
Right.
You know, Cal, where was it here? I mean, I have some of the scores. I'm looking up that old story.
Okay, but here we go. Goff, Cousins, Love for this year.
Goff, Cousins, Love. Well, I drafted Love ahead of Goff. So. All right, so at Cal, I mean, his first year, they lost these games 55-16, 49-17, 62-28, 63-13. He had a grade 1 shoulder separation in that last loss to Stanford. Became a grade 3. He said, my arm was stuck. And then he remembered all of these teammates going straight to the bars after the game. Quote, I'm embarrassed. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Going to a frat party after a game. We just got our ass kicked. Seeing some of these guys who are at Cal, the culture is so much different. I hope I had something to do with it. So he's not shouting from the mountaintops like Russell Wilson, declaring to the world how great of a leader he is. And Russell had another training montage. I'm sure you saw that. Like, that's not his style. I think Jared Goff is substantive and real, and he's not. He doesn't go out of his way to broadcast to everybody, how great of a leader he is, how much he means to a team's success. But I think whether it's that turnaround at Cal with the Rams, right, 0-7 with Fisher, They win the division year one with McVay, get to the Super Bowl. I believe next to Tom Brady over a 5-year stretch, he had the most wins. At some point, he deserves some credit. The trade went down with the Lions. Did anybody really think that we'd even be sitting here talking about Jared Goff as a playoff potential Super Bowl quarterback for the Detroit Lions 3 years in? No. He is a stopgap until they find their guy. At some point, he deserves some credit. He's doing something right.
Yep.
For the team at large. We can credit Ben Johnson. We can credit Sean McVay. We can credit all the weapons.
Well, that's usually what happens to Goff, right? If they do win this year, they're loaded around him. Defense got better.
It's crazy. I mean, he takes the high road at every turn.
He does. That was one of our. That
was one of our first features to it go along. I talked to him again, so it would have been with like 4 or 5 weeks left in his last season with McVay, and he only said great things about McVay. Like, I appreciate him so much. I know he appreciates me. It's a great relationship. And what happened? The wild card. Goff believes he's healthy enough to play. McVay starts John Wolford straight out of the AAF.
AAF. Oh, I had a good report on him.
Was it the hot shots?
I'm going to tell you. Oh, yeah. Man, look at you with your AAF knowledge. So I would do the scouting reports for the San Diego team, for whoever we were playing. So he was one of the quarterbacks. I was like, he made some throws. In fact, I remember showing Anthony Beck a couple of his throws one time. Anthony Beck was our tight ends coach. Now he's the head coach for the St. Louis team, the XFL. Had a great season. But yeah, I love the AAF XFL talk. But yes, to your point, to think that it's come that far, and that's what I like what we said. That trade wasn't a mismatched trade. It was not. It was not a mismatched trade.
And unlike a lot of quarterbacks, he doesn't give a damn about what people think of him. You see Aaron Rodgers, here it is, bringing him up again, going out of his way to massage the narrative of how he left Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay isn't saying anything. They're ready to move on. They're done with him.
Yeah.
They're not even entertaining the thought. Trust me, I've reached out to people there. They don't want to go there, and I don't blame them. Do you want to talk about your crazy ex? I really don't. So they're moving on. Aaron Rodgers has instead chosen to kind of trip over his own lies at every turn. And he's not alone. I think a lot of high-profile quarterbacks, they do that through surrogates and trusted media allies. A lot of them do it. I mean, Russell Wilson is probably high on that list with the propaganda. And they employ people to do this bidding for them in their camps. Jared Goff just isn't that. So maybe that's how the narrative kind of got away from him. I don't know. I just feel like he's always been better than he's perceived to be. Like, he goes to these bad situations, and they become really good situations. He has something to do with it.
Good quarterback.
All right. I'm feeling good. I'm going to play a little Jimmy Soul now. Again.
I like that. That started us off after the craziness.
Yes.
I like that. That brought it back down. That was a good way to kick off Goff.
Absolutely. I just hope there's no turkeys because I might just ding them this time. No, we'll spare
some turkeys. That doesn't sound worth it.
No, it doesn't.
Those look like they could do some damage too.
Well,
they're flying fast like that low. I know what you mean.
Oh, and I didn't even mention earlier today, the reason I have our Highlander is because the windshield was cracked.
Of course.
So that would have been something, right? Fix the windshield and then break it the same day.
That's one of those fun phone calls back home. You won't believe this.
Oh, my goodness. Well, hey, thanks to everyone out there for putting up with our debauchery. We appreciate it. This is the Goal Line Podcast at Fatty Beer Company. We'll be back soon.